Are SET's basic psychological needs inborn? Does that mean that each and every one has these needs? Let's have a look. So, SET assumes that people have basic psychological needs, and there are three, which can be summarized in terms of an ABC. There's competence, belongingness, and autonomy. And each of these three needs are considered essential for people's optimal functioning at work, thus, for how they feel, think, and what they do at work. So, what are the characteristics of these needs? Well, first of all, SET assumes that these psychological needs are inborn. That means that there is no hierarchy between these three different needs. So, it's not similar as Maslow's theory is often interpreted. So, it's not the case that one needs need to be satisfied in order for another one to become prominent, or the satisfaction of one need would be preferred over and above another one. Each of the needs is important. Secondly, there is also no focus on need strength, so whereas other theories would argue that people differ in the need for which they need affiliation or they have a stronger or lesser need for achievement, SCT assumes that need strength is not the area to focus on. People might or might not differ in the degree to which they need or think they need to have these needs satisfied. What SET focuses on is satisfaction, starting from the point that you would feel satisfied or unsatisfied or even frustrated in your basic needs. That's what is important in terms to understand how people feel at work, what they think, and what they do. So, for their optimal functioning, for their integrity, well being, and health, the satisfaction of the needs is important rather than the strength to which people would have these needs. Third, there are no individual differences. Related to the idea that the SET doesn't focus on need strength, SET also doesn't focus on the degree to which people say they differ in these needs. It's also not the case that it's very valuable to have a look at to which degree people differ in benefiting from need satisfaction. SCT considers that it's most important to understand that satisfaction of the basic needs is always beneficial. Finally, there's no focus on need deficit as a driver. So, whereas we are driven by our physiological needs, for example, I go and seek some food when I'm hungry, SETs assumes that the psychological needs function differently. There's no drive to look for competence, relatedness, or satisfaction, or at least that's not the focus of the theory. What is the focus is that satisfaction leads to optimal functioning. Once we have these needs satisfied, that will predict mostly whether or not we feel well, we are creative in our thinking and behave in ways that is optimal for ourselves and our environment. Secondly, apart from considering the needs as inborn, SET also assumes that currently only these three needs, autonomy, belongingness, and competence, should be considered fundamental or essential as or basic psychological needs. There might be some others which can be taken into consideration later on, and there is some empirical studies ongoing to study whether we need to have a fourth or even a fifth need. To date, no such needs have been identified. Within the SET literature, there's quite some studies being done on the characteristics of the basic psychological needs. This study I'm presenting here is just one of the studies within the work context that might shed light on whether satisfaction of the basic needs is inborn and good for everyone. That is to say, within the work context, there's quite some discussion about the value of basic need satisfaction. Yes, it's set to help higher educated employees such as HR workers who are already highly motivated, but it is questioned whether SET's need satisfaction would also be beneficial for lowly educated people such as call center employees or blue collar workers. So we did a study in which we linked the satisfaction of the need for autonomy, satisfaction of the need for competence, and satisfaction of need for relatedness to employees' optimal functioning. This included well-being such as vigor and exhaustion, main component of burnout, but also the spillover to life satisfaction, as well as organizational commitment, or how people think they are connected or committed to the organization and their behavior in terms of a performance. We also looked at autonomous and controlled motivation, two other aspects of SDT. And what do the results show? Well, they confirm self-determination theory in showing that satisfaction of the need for autonomy, competence, and relatedness indeed links to employees' well-being, their attitudes and behavior among higher educated HR employees. But it also works, or need satisfaction also associates positively to employee well-being, attitudes, and performance when we consider lowly educated employees, such as call center employees. Notably, if we look at the relationship between the three different needs and autonomous and controlled motivation, then we can conclude that within this study we also found evidence for SDT's basic assumptions that basic psychological needs would lead to growth, well-being, and other aspects of optimal functioning. That is to say, all the three needs related positively to autonomous motivation, or the motivation that you want to engage in particular activities because you think they are interesting or fun. However, the basic psychological needs were unrelated or even negatively related in terms of the need for autonomy to controlled motivation. That means if you start to push people around or they put pressure on themselves, they don't feel autonomous or not supported in their need for autonomy. They might feel competent, however, or they might feel related, but their motivation will be of poorer quality.